My name is Grace. I am 25 years old. My life was simple and quiet before I met Daniel. If I had known the truth about him, I would have stayed far away. But back then I thought he was perfect. Let me tell you my story. I met Daniel on a sunny afternoon in a small coffee shop. I was sitting alone, reading my favorite book, when he walked over. "Is this seat taken?" he asked with a smile. He was tall, handsome, and polite. His smile made me forget my words for a moment. I said, "No, you can sit here." We started talking, and I learned that Daniel worked as a photographer. He traveled often, taking pictures of beautiful places. "Every photo tells a story," he said. I loved listening to him. That day, he offered to walk me home. I felt butterflies in my stomach. It felt like a dream, and I couldn't stop thinking about him. Daniel began calling me every day. He sent me pictures of places he visited and told me stories about his travels. I loved hearing his voice. He was so kind and made me feel special. After a few weeks, Daniel asked me to go on a date. He took me to a quiet park where we had a picnic under the trees. "You're the most amazing person I've ever met," he said. I felt like the luckiest girl in the world. 2 months later, Daniel asked me to marry him. It was a beautiful evening. He got down on one knee with a ring and said, "Grace, will you marry me?" My heart was full of joy. I said, "Yes." We had a small wedding with close friends and family. I believed my life was perfect. Daniel was sweet and loving. For the first few months, we were happy. He brought me flowers, cooked dinner for me, and always held my hand. But slowly things began to change. Daniel started leaving home more often. "I have work," he would say. He started coming home late at night, sometimes smelling like perfume that wasn't mine. At first, I told myself it was just work. I trusted Daniel. But one day I found something that made my heart stop. I was cleaning the house when I found a gold bracelet under the bed. It wasn't mine. I waited for Daniel to come home. That night I showed him the bracelet and asked, "Whose is this?" Daniel's face turned pale. "It's nothing, Grace. It's just a gift for a friend," he said. But I didn't believe him. Something felt wrong. The next few weeks were hard. Daniel became distant. He no longer looked at me the same way. He stopped asking how my day was, and when I tried to talk to him, he would ignore me. One evening I decided to follow him. He had said he was going to work late, but I wanted to know the truth. I saw him meet a woman at a restaurant. She was laughing and holding his hand. My heart broke into pieces. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The man I loved, the man I trusted, was lying to me. I went home, tears streaming down my face. When Daniel returned that night, I confronted him. "Who is she?" I asked, my voice shaking. Daniel looked at me and sighed. "Grace, I didn't mean for this to happen," he said. "But I love her too." His words hurt me like a knife. I couldn't stop crying. How could he betray me like this? I told him to leave the house. I didn't want to see his face again. The days after that were the hardest of my life. I felt lost and broken. My family and friends tried to comfort me, but the pain didn't go away. One day, my best friend Sarah sat with me and said, "Grace, you are stronger than this. Don't let Daniel's actions take away your happiness." Her words made me think. Why was I letting his lies destroy me? I decided to rebuild my life. I got a job at a local library where I felt peaceful, surrounded by books. I started painting again, something I loved but had stopped doing when I met Daniel. Over time, I began to heal. I realized that Daniel's betrayal was not my fault. I deserved someone who would love me truly and never lie to me. It's been 2 years since Daniel left. I now live in a small, cozy apartment. My days are filled with books, painting, and quiet walks in the park. I've learned to love myself again. Sometimes, life gives us hard lessons, but they make us stronger. I no longer feel angry or sad about Daniel. Instead, I feel grateful that I learned the truth. I know now that I don't need someone else to make me happy. I can build a beautiful life on my own, one step at a time. My story doesn't end with heartbreak. It ends with strength, hope, and a new beginning. If you enjoy the story, please like, subscribe, and share.